Welcome back to another episode of Clothing Brief. Today, we've got the latest stories that have transpired since our last conversation last Tuesday, and we've got some nice, refreshing evolution in our story.
We're not going to talk
We're
about
not going to
tariffs,
topic
is what you're.
nope,
Yeah.
nope, you're not even going to say that word completely.
Okay.
No double T's
Okay.
today.
Sounds good.
We are going to start with a rather fun story about the runway. Boy, has this become big business.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. They're forecasting double-digit subscriber growth. They're increasing inventory by like some astounding number, like 134%.
Yes.
I think revenue numbers are looking a little tough. There's a
Little dip.
single-digit revenue dip, about 7% or something like that.
Mhm.
But they're really trying to remain pretty bullish. It does make sense. The nice thing about Rent the One Runway is that the brands that they have, I would say, are elevated,
Better quality. Yeah.
better end, maybe not the highest level of haute
Mhm.
couture, but better end quality, and they're pushing somewhere around $300 million a year annually.
Mhm.
You can go rent the dress and enjoy the evening or whatever, and return the garments. There is a small contender that they're keeping their
Yes,
eye
a watch
on.
on.
It's an Urban Outfitter offshoot.
Newly, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their product mix is a lot different though.
It
It's
is more aligned with, of course,
kind of
the
everyday wear, more sportswear type stuff, and I think that their overall revenue is quite a bit smaller than Rent the Runway. But as a good idea launches, more people are going to start, maybe trying to take a piece of that pie.
Yeah, it's a real sign. People are migrating away from fast fashion, but they still want that perfect fix for that event. And let's face it, you're not always going to wear that gown again. So this model is a really good model to not only try something and wear it once, but also try something, see if you're going to like it, and then decide if you want to buy it.
Yeah, in today's time of rising costs, it kind of makes sense. You can go out there and enjoy that stuff, but you're not spending what is now going to be an ever increasing amount for garments with
Mhm.
something we're not talking about
Right.
this time.
Well, and that's a good transition
Yeah.
into our next story because of some of those hardships that brands are experiencing. Lululemon, for the first time in ages, is reporting a dip in their business,
They're
which
going to
is
forecast a dip, and it's because of that whole
that whole
topic we're
thing.
not talking about. But shares have dropped about 12%. They're citing both that issue
Mhm.
again and
Competition.
competition.
Yeah.
Competition like Aloe and a few others that are coming in and
Fiore.
kind of taking their
Mhm.
portions of their space. So there's still a Goliath in this industry running about
Absolutely.
$10 billion annually. But I think they're citing a pretty conservative forecast based upon a number of factors.
Hmm. I'm excited about another story that hit the headlines. Sotheby's has announced that they're going to be auctioning the original Jane Birkin Hermes bag. This is the bag that really was the first of its kind. In fact, this bag itself was considered to be a prototype. I happen to love auction, and so I find that this is a pretty exciting prospect.
This is a whole new level of auction. I
It
mean, the
is
last time one of these exclusive Birkin bags went for auction, I think it was auctioned off in Hong Kong, and it went for somewhere USD
about 500,000.
$500,000.
Yes.
So this is going to be an interesting one. As a guy, I don't get a $500,000 purse, but hey,
Yes,
boy, Birkins are always this whole big conversation that's going on. We've
they
got some
are.
friends in the industry that kind of got wrapped up in some Birkin craze too, and so
Yes,
it's an interesting learning curve. This bag has captured so many
it
people's
has.
attention.
This one, it will be interesting to see what it goes for. The bag that sold for 500,000+ was made of crocodile. It had a diamond.
Oh well,
So,
there's no. Hopefully, the diamond is really big to make up for that.
but that being said, this bag has a lot of history. Again, it kind of paved the way for the fame of this bag, and of course, by the famous Jane Birkin. It was sold in its first time it was sold off was to raise raise money for AIDS research.
That's really
So,
great.
so it's nice to see it come back to the block, and we'll see what
This
happens.
takes upcycling to a whole new level, doesn't it?
It certainly
Elevates
does.
it to an art form.
It certainly does. We have a good story of a group that we're actually familiar with in India.
Yeah, Arvin's been around a long time. They're an amazing mill. They've got some CM units. First time I interacted with them was this wonderful silky denim that they would make, a 4.5 ounce silky denim that
Mm,
a lot of really big brands have used, and it just felt incredible. The organization was always kind and caring, and over some 20 years, we've kind of interacted off and on with this group. But they're making a really, really bold move. They're creating and revolutionizing with Fashion for Good a brand new manufacturing factory in Gujarat, where, I mean, I think for the first time in industry, they're really trying to manufacture at net
net
zero.
zero. Yeah.
It'll be the first time in history that I've ever seen that. And I think as we were traveling in India, it's definitely needed. You know, they're
Hmm.
really they're talking about reducing carbon emissions by an astounding, I think, 93% greenhouse gases and carbon emissions. That's desperately needed in that country when you're seeing pollution levels in the main cities far exceeding safe standards. You know, we have a bad day here and the air quality index
Yeah.
AQI is like 100 to 200. Delhi at times can hit
Yes.
500. It's
It's.
astounding. So it's nice to see that more factories are investing in this. This is going to be
Mhm.
a pretty big step from the group, but they are known to be industry leaders. They were some of the first to really plant themselves in mass in Ethiopia. They really are a great group, and I hope it goes well for them.
Yeah, this is timely on a global scale as well, not just India. We have another very well known brand that is recognizing that there's some resource scarcity starting to bubble up, and Europe is leading the way to make sure that brands are responsible for waste. Therefore, Chanel is getting into waste management.
So nice quilted $10,000 garbage cans
Yes,
or
come
what?
by your
Yeah.
house, pick up your
Yes,
garbage.
that's pretty cool. That'd work in Dubai pretty well. I think they'd be all over that. I guess that's not what we're talking
No, no,
about.
no,
Okay.
no. They've launched Nevold, which stands for Never Old, which is a new venture focused on recycling textile waste.
Yeah, and I think that's important. You know, one of the interesting things that they're talking about, and certainly is a general conversation overall, is the scarcity
Hmm.
of the components and the materials that they're using. They use very, very high-end cashmeres. They use very, very nice different leathers and components, and it's increasingly harder to find. And so
Hmm.
I think
And
this,
more expensive
yeah,
due
definitely.
to the thing we must not talk about.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I think, and then they're finding pushback on that, as the
Right.
world is. And
Yeah.
so, this could serve two efforts. I mean, this is upcycling and sustainable operations at a haute couture level. I think
Mhm.
that's interesting how now it is, this whole reuse of waste materials even within this process has now moved all the way up the ladder. And I
Yeah.
think it's for the best. And I think they're going to partner with some pretty amazing technology companies to figure
Yes.
out ways to, reinvent this waste material. And it's an
Right.
exciting process. We'll have to follow
We'll
follow
have
that.
to. Yeah, I like the description of. It was noted that they're going to be hoovering up
Yes.
the waste on the cutting room
Does
floors, and
anyone
then
know Hoover
I
anymore?
know.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's still a company. I'm sorry, Hoover,
It's
if
probably a
you are,
tell on
but
the
it's
age
been
of,
a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
the age of person who wrote that. But I think
Yeah.
it's great that they're looking at how do we turn this waste into new materials. And I mean, let's face it, like you mentioned, these are wastes that are made of premium
Yeah.
ingredients.
It's nice
So
waste.
really nice
Right.
waste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this might be an all-time record for speed.
Maybe. So it's a shorter brief
It's
today.
a very brief.
Brief brief.
Well, do not forget.
Bikini brief today, maybe.
Right. Well, don't forget to join us back here next Tuesday at noon, and we will catch you up on what transpires between now and then. And also, don't forget to check out our longer format Clothing Culture podcast, available on all platforms.
It's about 6 hours long each episode.
you
Sit
really,
back.
you really get your
No,
money's worth,
just
right?
kidding.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. Do not forget to subscribe to stay apprised of upcoming conversations.